Welcome to Rock Your Talk. I'm Leisa Reid, your host, and I'm joined today by the lovely Carolyn Ortman. Hello, Carolyn.
Hey, Lisa, thanks for having me.
I'm so excited that you're here. Carolyn's going to be talking about leadership and how do you lead without losing your way. Very excited to hear what she has to say and learn a little bit more. I already know Carolyn pretty well, but I want to give her a chance to tell you all about her. Yeah, that's right. But before we do that, I also want to make sure you're aware of some gifts that we have available to you. If you are someone who is an entrepreneur, business owner, and you'd like to boost your business and you also really enjoy speaking, well, then go to GetSpeakingGigsNow.com and check out a couple of gifts that we have for you. We have 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs. That's free. And then there's also an opportunity if you'd like to chat with me personally about how to develop some speaking strategies. You can go to GetSpeakingGigsNow.com/chat and set up a call. That's really for if you're ready to hit the ground running and you want to get out there speaking, but you just haven't started yet. All right, now on to our program today. I can't wait to hear about the leadership skills that Carolyn's going to share with us. But before we do that, Carolyn, tell the audience a little bit about what you do, kind of the magic you put out into the business community.
Yes, so I have a company called CKO Marketing and Training Group. And what we do is we're hired by companies whose employees might be a little scattered, distracted, and you think that's maybe going on right now in the last several months we've been going through.
And they have to be distracted about
2020, 2021. And what these companies want is they want a way to engage their employees, to retain their employees, to make them, more productive. And so we work with leaders and leadership development and their teams in helping them to get to that place and moving them from that place of distraction or unproductivity to more productive, happy, harmonious teams. Wouldn't we like that?
There we go. That'd be awesome. Oh, I can't wait. So tell us, I know you have some tips, 3 tips to lead without losing your way.
Right.
What's the first tip that you have for us?
So the first tip for how to lead others without losing your way. And by losing your way, it could be anything from, you are feeling off center, you're losing your momentum, you're losing your heart, you're feeling off balance. So the first tip is be open to opportunities. And when it comes to leaders, sometimes we can kind of get stuck in that status quo where we don't look beyond the blinders because there's problems happening, there's crises happening, and it's easy to just look at what we've done before and what we've done in the past in order to kind of get the team going and to really lead. But in order to be open to opportunity, it also means you've got to listen to feedback. And I know a lot of leaders who are just not that open to feedback. And what happens is they're leading more from an ego place. And when we're leading more from an ego place, we're not listening clearly. We're not showing empathy. We're just not able to be the kind of leader we want to be. And a lot of that then drives the trust factor. So if we're not getting the feedback, and trust me, as a corporate manager, I have my own business now, of course, but as a corporate manager prior to that, I will say I was not the best at getting feedback. I didn't have the kind of mentors that I needed to really be the manager that I wanted to be when I had to seek those people out. And sometimes the feedback that I would get would be hard for me and I wouldn't want to accept it right away. And I think that's what people do is they get to this place of they hear a piece of feedback and it's, oh, no, that's not for me. That's for somebody else. And they just sort of discount the feedback. So the first tip is be open to opportunities. And it's not only receiving feedback, but encouraging and giving feedback to your employees as well.
Yeah, and it's funny. It sounds so simple, right? Get feedback. And when we're in a good place, we're of course, I love feedback. But really, really asking for it. I know that's something I've worked on over the years and can still definitely improve on. And what you do with that feedback, and I think you touched on that too, is the attitude that you have. Are you open to hearing it? What is that? how does that experience land for you? Are you willing to make some shifts and changes? And also there is that filtering of like, well, sometimes that feedback is not helpful, or what, maybe it's not the direction you want to go in. But
Yep.
all feedback is still needs to be there, that loop that has to come back and forth, right? So it sounds easier than it is. I get that.
Right. And one tag to that for, being open to opportunity is what we're telling ourselves about our limiting beliefs. I was talking with a colleague recently, and I asked her about the follow-up that she was doing for this client that she wanted to get. And she didn't really say much about it. And I said, well, how come you didn't follow up? And she said, well, I just assumed that he didn't want to work with me. And I said, okay, stop right there.
Great catch.
I said, why would you think that? You're not in their head. You don't know what they're thinking. You have maybe he's busy. And I reeled off like 5 alternatives to what it was she was thinking. She's like, you're right. I'm going to pick up the phone. I'm going to call that guy.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean.
Oh my gosh.
Open to opportunities.
We're like, we think we can tell the future, right?
Right.
We start creating these scenarios, and we obviously know that we can't tell the future in most cases, right? Like we might have premonitions sometimes, but we can do a lot of mind reading that isn't really setting us up for success. I know I've been guilty of that too. And I try to catch myself. Or if I hear myself say like, well, everybody or all, or it never, or it always, I'm like, ooh, wait, actually that's not true. That's how I feel sometimes, but that's clearly not true. So even just that little catch, I know how, as leaders, you really have to like take that high road, right?
Yeah. And it's those words, like you said, be careful of the all or everyone. The generalizations that we put out there, those are so dangerous.
I know you have another tip for us. What's your second tip?
So the second tip is know your tribe. Know your tribe. And, when I think of a tribe, I think of, what was it, 50 years ago or so, the Grateful Dead. They had this tribe, right? They had this tribe. Never remember the Grateful Dead.
Oh my gosh, it was 50 years. I was like,
was it 50 years ago?
It was in the 60s to give a, that was.
Yeah, I was just a little one. I was just a little one. But they only had one top 40 album, but they built a tribe around the way that people gravitated towards them and the movement and the need at the time for the excitement and the enthusiasm and the secret handshake or whatever it was for when you think of a tribe of people. And so sometimes you're part of a tribe, and it's important to know who you can trust in your tribe. It's important to know who, especially in those bumpy times when you need someone to lean on, you need someone to talk to, you need someone to give you feedback, then it's interesting. You'll find out who your tribe members are when a crisis hits you. Some of them will be just gone as soon as that hits, and they're out the door and you'll never see them again. So look for those individuals that you have that kindred spirit with, that you have that connection with, because those are the ones that are going to help build you up during those times of challenge, those times of, where you're feeling defeated. But it's kind of about knowing your people for yourself, your own tribe, but also knowing the people that you manage, knowing the people that you lead, and understanding what they're going through. And I talk a lot about this, about the emotional intelligence piece and the empathy piece, is knowing what each individual needs in those times of crisis, especially in those times like we're going through. And it's easy to say, oh yes, I have empathy as a leader. I know what empathy is, but do we really know what empathy is? Empathy is not just sitting there listening to the employee, nodding your head and pretending like you're listening. Empathy is trying to tap into their experience by tapping into your own experience and bringing some of that and trying to make that connection. So that's part of what I mean by knowing your tribe. And if you don't have a tribe, or if you don't like the tribe that you have, it's time to maybe go find a new tribe, because we need those people around us. And trust me, I've not been as good at this in the past And it's about those, making those connections and, shoring up those relationships, really critical.
So
Yeah.
as a leader, if someone's listening out there who's a leader of a team, so they're
Right.
the boss and then they've got their employees. When you say tribe, and maybe it's two different ways that you're talking about, there's a tribe of, would you say like their group of employees is one tribe, but then their peers or where they get support is another tribe? Is that how you're?
Yeah, thank you for the clarification. Yeah, so I'm talking about two different tribes. So one tribe would be your peer group, your even those that support you outside of your leadership role that you turn to in times of
Family, your friends,
challenge.
your coach.
Could be, yeah, your friends. And then the other tribe is the individuals that you lead and understanding what it is that makes them tick and how they are as individuals being better team members, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that one of the things when I was managing a full team, one of the key things that probably helped me more than anything else was that I actually cared about my employees' personal lives, and would just be keeping in touch with that type, like it was a genuine thing. I wasn't making, I wasn't pretending, because I know that sometimes personal things are going to affect our work. And if someone doesn't feel comfortable to share that, or maybe they just are having a really bad day, maybe they have a sick loved one or something serious has happened outside of work, of course that can affect their employment or, their productivity, right? But if they feel like that their boss, that tribe leader, if you will, from what you're saying, like is empathizing with them, like I get that, and at least gives them a little outlet to say or feel like this is what's going on with me. It's not so much that we then use that as an excuse, but it's like, okay, I get you. Like, let's, what can we do is there anything we could do to put that aside for now so you can focus? Or what do you need in this moment to handle it? Do you need to go home? Do you need to take time off? Can you put it aside and get back to it? Like, and that's totally different for everyone and for the situation, right? But just being aware that they might have something going on is really helpful. Because then they, from my experience, when I cared about those kind of things and problem solved it, that's what created a huge amount of loyalty. And when we all needed to work and dig our heels in and come in on a Saturday and work till 9 o'clock at night, that was totally doable, right? So,
yeah, because sometimes you need to slow down to speed up. And this is, I think, a mistake that new managers make. They want to get in there, they want to make changes, they want to, they want to work with the people. And that was something as a new manager that I experienced. I was all about, let's get the lead out, let's get these projects done. And my people complained about me as a new manager. And that was a real blow to my early managerial skills because I wanted to be a well-rounded leader. And so again, hard feedback, but really good. And my manager reminded me there's task and people, and you get things done through people by listening to exactly what you're saying, by listening, by empathizing, by knowing who they are and caring about them.
Yeah.
Right. But then you can take it to the extreme, right? Some people take it to the extreme and then, I sat with Susie for 20 minutes this morning while we had coffee. And it's like, well, how much work got done?
Right. Yes, of course. In moderation, right? Just still keeping our eye on the prize and
right.
what's best for all. And then you have another tip too, I think.
Right. So the last one is tapping into your vision. Are you feeling, kind of stuck now or misaligned? Like we talked about the status quo. I like to remind people, like, what was their vision? We're in 2020, February 2021 right now. What was their vision before we had this pandemic that hit? What were some of the goals that they had? Because I think a lot of people, as I've talked to leaders, they've had to, they feel like they have to reinvent the playbook. And I encourage everyone to think about, like, what was your vision? What were a couple of goals you had? And see if you can salvage some of that from your original vision and your original goals. Because Number one, it's going to make you feel like you have more control. You know, when we're looking more at the bigger picture, we know, we kind of feel like we know where we're going, and we have more control, and just makes us feel more grounded. And it also helps the team to come along when we can tap into that vision, because it's not, the team recognizes that we're not just doing the daily work, just doing it. We have an ultimate vision. And you know, people follow leaders who have a vision. That's known. The visionless leadership and if leaders wonder why their teams aren't performing, it could be that you may have a vision, but you haven't communicated it well, right? Or you may have a vision, but you feel like it's gone astray. One of the stories I like is the CEO of this yogurt company that we know. He had walked into this dying yogurt plant that had been around for 85 years in New York, and he had seen an advertisement. It was for sale, and when he got there, he saw that the paint was peeling, everything was breaking down, and they were about to close the plant. But as he walked around and was led by a couple of employees who had worked there most of their lives, he saw that it was about the people. The numbers weren't there, but there was about the people and what they cared about. And so he went back to his lawyer and his accountant and said, I want to buy this yogurt plant. And they said, you're crazy. You don't have the money. Where are you going to get the money? But he had a vision for reviving that plant and for bringing the people along with him. And Chobani is like one of the world's leading known brands of yogurt. And so because he had that vision, then the process worked, and he put things into place, and people were following him because he had this vision. Yeah.
I love that. And
yeah.
I think it's when sometimes I have found that when I'm an employee of a company in the past, I can easily buy into their vision. I mean, because otherwise I wouldn't be working there. I don't know
Well,
but
that's not true for everybody.
Yeah, I know that's not true for everybody. That's for me. I gotta believe in what I do. But I know there's people listening who are entrepreneurs too, and I think that's a really good point of what you brought about is like, what are you leading for your clients? What's your vision for your business? What's the vision of how people can proceed? And I know as a newer, when I first started my business, it was pretty short-term vision, and now it's like, okay, as I've been in business longer and I've developed more things, I'm like, oh, I can see farther into the future, and it's exciting. But I think I always connect to like I've noticed that whatever I do, it's always connected to that deeper mission of, what am I here on this earth to do? For me, that's how it falls into place of like, okay, as long as I'm doing that thing, and for me, it's like raising the higher consciousness of whoever comes into my realm as a client or otherwise. And if I have a gift that is going to help them help other people, then for me, I see it as like a ripple effect type of a process.
Yeah. And it's too bad that I think it's easy to say, but more people would hear you and say, yeah, I want to do that, but they don't know how. And I think the first step is just looking at what you're interested in.
Yeah.
Looking at what really juices you and what really drives you, and start with the feelings of what's going on here and here. And when you get into something you enjoy doing, you're in this flow state. I know for me, it's training, and I get into a mode, and it's like training goes by, 3, 4, 5 hours can go by. I'm like, where did the time go? And so that's how you know what juices you, and then you can create that vision from that. So you've done some good work around that, it sounds like.
I love that. Yeah, that's a good stuff right there. And then Carolyn, you have something that would be really helpful for leaders. Can you explain a little bit about what that is? And I'll put the link in the chat so everybody can have that. I'll put the link in the YouTube notes as well.
Yeah. So I created this report recently on communication, and it was really in response to the pandemic that we were going through, because I believe everything kind of falls on communication. So the title of it is Ways Communication Must Change in Your Company in the New Now. So it's to help leaders be better communicators with their teams. It's helping the team members to also communicate across the company, and looking at really drilling down a little bit more into what good communication is and how we can effectively use it to reach our goals, to be more productive, to just create an environment that feels a little more harmonious.
Love it. Oh, that's great. Okay, I'll put the link for that in the comments on the YouTube video so that people can get that. And meanwhile, while you're on there, make sure and subscribe so you can see all the different experts that we have. We have all kinds of great experts, just like Carolyn. And Carolyn, one more question. This is a little bit of a fun question for you. It is called Rock Your Talk. So I got to ask, what is maybe one of your favorite rock bands or rock singers? Do you have one you could share with us?
My rock bands, I like Queen, and every time I hear a Queen song, I want to get up and dance.
There you go. Yeah.
And I don't know, you can't help but at least tap your toe or want to move, because they're just, I don't know, it's the way they wrote their songs. It's just timeless. And how can you, if you watch some of their music videos, oh my gosh. So I really like Queen.
I do too. I love them. I have those 45 records. Oh my gosh.
Wow, really? Oh, you're a fan.
I had a few.
Big fan.
Yeah, it was kind of a good deal because you could get We Are the Champions and We Will Rock You were the same. It was the B side. They were on the same little 45. So quite a deal, both songs amazing on the side. 2
best-selling songs, right?
There you go. I think they did the same with Fat Bottom Girls and Bicycle, but I don't know. I could be remembering it wrong.
Bicycle, that's a great song. That's a great song. Yeah.
Well, thank you for being on our show, and I will put the link to that report so that any of our listeners can grab that. This is going to be helpful for you if you are wondering how can you increase those communication strategies, especially now in your company and as a leader. And in case you haven't yet today done something kind for yourself, make sure and do that, and be kind to somebody else too. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Right. Thanks so much. All right. Bye-bye.